There have been some really horrific images that have been circulated out of Rafah after this Israeli airstrike overnight, images that have outraged leaders and supporters of Palestinian and human rights across the world. Israel has confirmed that it carried out an airstrike in western Rafah. Now, that is an area that their ground troops have currently not invaded yet, but they have been carrying out these airstrikes across the entirety of Rafah for some time. They say that they specifically targeted a Hamas compound, and Israeli media here has been reporting that the Israeli military made attempts to make sure that there weren't any Palestinians in the area. We haven't got anything further official from the Israeli military ourselves, apart from saying that they are investigating these civilian casualties. There is some contention as to exactly what has caused these deaths, whether or not it was the airstrike or it was a fire that broke out afterwards, whether or not that was caused by the airstrike itself. There is some discrepancy between Hamas representatives and also the Israeli officials as to exactly what has happened there, and Israel says it's investigating. In fact, they have now referred this to the military advocate general, who has this morning confirmed that she will be investigating this as well for possible criminal offences too. But as you said, 35 people have been killed. The Ministry of Health says most of them are civilians. Israel says 2 of them were at least senior Hamas officials.
Yeah. You know, this comes just days, Allyson, after the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to stop its operation in Rafah. Israel is not obliged to comply, but there's enormous sensitivity about the potential disaster for this offensive in Rafah.
Yes, so the International Court of Justice, which sat just a few days ago and delivered its findings on an urgent application that was made by South Africa, did find that Israel needed to immediately stop its offensive in Rafah. Stop the offensive if it's inflicting conditions on Palestinians that would bring about their destruction. Now, there's been a lot of argument and a lot of conjecture around the interpretation of this reading, of this ruling. Israel says that it's not creating conditions that bring about the destruction of Palestinians in Rafah, but most leaders across the world have disagreed with that Israeli interpretation and have said that by and large the International Court of Justice has expressed its concern that Israel could be creating those conditions as a result of that operation inside Rafah at the moment, hence this order to stop that military action inside there. Israel, though, has made it clear that it will not be stopping. It says that it believes the last bastions of Hamas are inside Rafah. And indeed, what we have seen over the last few days is Hamas have actually shot a number of long-range rockets out of Rafah into central Israel, into those areas like Tel Aviv, where rockets haven't been shot for some months now. And the military is saying basically that they're using that as an example. Look, Hamas is still operating in Rafah, and that is why they say they need to be there. That is not necessarily a view that's being taken by the international community, who has agreed with the International Court of Justice that the conditions for humanitarian situation inside Rafah have deteriorated to a point of catastrophic situation, and that there is also great concern for the viability of livability for Palestinians that are remaining there, although we do know that some 800,000 Palestinians have fled from parts of Rafah in anticipation of this Israeli ground invasion extending further into those more western parts of Rafah. Certainly a huge amount of pressure on Israel. They are becoming increasingly isolated on the international stage. There's increasing pressure as well on the United States to stop providing weaponry that Israel is continuing to use in its Rafah offensives. And also there is speculation that this ICJ ruling will soon be put up as a UN Security Council resolution as well. And members of the UN Security Council are expected to, if this eventuates, expected to vote in a way that would uphold that ICJ ruling.
Yeah, such a complicated scenario. Allyson, really good to get that update from you. Thank you so much.